Hello traders, this is Rich from tradesight. Here's a look at our market leading ETFs for the coming week. This is going to be for the week of March 9th, 2015. We had a very sloppy day to the downside, as you can see from the open close deviations and also the VWAP levels. But we don't have any signals here per se on the major broad-based ETFs. We did have volume bumps in almost everything except for the MDY. But certainly a lot of aggressive price action today after the non-farm number. Moving on to the individual domestic sectors, we do have some signals here. We do have some downside CPSs, so these should all be evaluated for further follow-through to the downside next week. Also, look at these volume deviations. A lot of times you don't see this, but this is pretty good volume in a lot of these. So players from the larger time frames are definitely making portfolio adjustments here, as we can see evidence of that from the volume levels. Commodity sector was really pretty weak today. The very strong dollar definitely was weighing on this. And you can see the extreme amount of volume in some of these. BBC, which is a broad-based ETF, traded more than 3 times its typical volume and set up with a downside CPS signal. Bonds also very much in action. TLT had a downside CPS after gapping and closing below the static trend line in the daily time frame. So that's a notable technical development. Let's make sure you take a look at the charts there. Foreign stuff, there was really nowhere to hide there. They were all pretty weak as well. And a number of them have downside CPSs, the EEM, the FXI, and the EWZ. As far as the specials go, this is where we want to look to see if there's any follow-through in volume, because this is where a lot of portfolio managers will go to put on short-term hedges, and we're seeing evidence of that right now. A lot of volume in these, not necessarily a lot of signals, but just the fact that we have these volume bumps definitely implies that folks are active in the market and making portfolio adjustments. So I'm looking forward to a very productive week next week. All right, and lastly, here's a look at our watch list with the majors, the broad-based, and also the leading individual sectors. So you can see that we are fairly deep into a lot of counts here. There's actually a couple that are still setting up for sell signals if we get any kind of bounce next week. Got that condition present in the TAN, which is 12 bars up and only 1 bar away from the signal. And the Comer here. Got a 13 locked in the XLK, both the Comer and the aggressive seeker. Really close in the VNQ, 12 days up in the standard seeker and also the aggressive, and the Comer could fire this week as well. The other thing you want to look at when the market first turns down is to see if anything's close to a support area. It was really not too much. MDY is 6 days down, so potentially could form 9 bars down next week. There's really nothing else that's really all that close. We've got the XHB and XLU both 7 days down, and they could find some support next week. But for the most part, there's probably some room for these things to move next week again, at least in the first half of the week for sure. All right, folks. Well, good trading as always. Thanks for listening. This has been Rich for tradesight.